Yo guys, what's going on? It's your boy Chicago, and the Chicago Bros got another video in store. Today, I am going to be ranking the best players in the world. Now, I did this video before, I made a tier list, but this is going to be revisited after the final RLCS tournament, the championships, and I'm going to have some critiques. I'm going to have to make some changes to the list. But this is a new video. I think you guys are going to like it because you like seeing the best teams in the world, best players, and getting my thoughts on it. So I think you guys are going to like this one. But of course you do. The video's been popping recently, and I love to see it. It makes me so happy. You guys have been commenting for the algorithm, subbing, liking. I've been getting tweets about it. I appreciate that. So keep doing that. Let's keep the train going, you know? But anyway, let's just get right into the video. So if you guys did not know, the RLCS season just ended with the championships being done. And what I've decided to do is make a Rocket League Pro tier list again, except revisit it with the championship players that competed and just see where I rank them now after the final tournament, the big Haas tournament, to see how everyone performed and where everyone lived up to. Now, let me go through the tier list. So for the top 6 players, those are just the players that I'm going to be ranking, obviously, as you guys can see. Now, below average is not below average in skills. Like, for me, it's below average what I think they could have, you know, done. So maybe they did a little bit worse than expected, / maybe just had a bad tournament. So that's where I'd put them. Solid's like, you know, like what you expected out of them. Elite was like, they were having some moments and having some really good, you know, pieces of that tournament that really helped their team. Game changers, again, this is for like these people that if they're popping for a series, they can just absolutely change a series and do crazy stuff. Then goats, it does have an S, as you can see, because I think you can't just name one Rocket League goat, but I could maybe go for a goat, like just a pure goat at the end of the video. But yeah, let's just get right into it. Anyways, it's kind of a long intro, but I guess we can just start off with Mist. It's all in different order, as you guys can see. Oh yeah, and this is no Salmon OCE because I didn't watch it. All right, Mist. Now Mist before was in my GOAT category, I believe, but for this, after this tournament, I'm gonna put Mist in Game Changer, because I do think Mist was probably overall the best team on Envy throughout their one series against Space Station. He did have his moments, but it wasn't the usual Mist that was kind of firing on all cylinders all the time. And I definitely think he had a couple moments in a couple games where he absolutely popped off, but it wasn't consistent enough, as well as their team did really poorly, in my opinion, from what their expectations were. So I can't put him in Game Changers, but yeah. Atomic. See, Atomic was, I don't know where I put Atomic on my last list, but Atomic I'm going to put in Elite, just because I think Atomic, again, like Envy, he had some of his moments, and he had times where you would be like, that's Atomic for you, and you do something crazy. But I honestly see Atomic's pop off so high, where it's like so high in GOAT, or it could be, that when I kind of saw how poorly they did, I think I have to put him down to Elite. And because of that, it makes me sad, but I do think Atomic just kind of had an off tournament and an off day when MB really needed it. But all three of them, I think, definitely did below average from what they did. Turnturo definitely, again, he has his moments in Rogue, and he could be really solid, but I think Rogue kind of just didn't really show up this tournament. They lost to SSG, and then they lost to us, and I think him and Taroko definitely weren't on their A game like they were when Rogue was popping throughout the winter and beginning of spring. I definitely think Turnturo kind of failed to have some of those moments that he usually does. Dementia, again, Team Queso had a pretty good run, right? I think they got top 4. They lost to BDS. I'm going to put Dementia in solid, because I don't think Dementia did anything remarkable in his games. I think he definitely did solid and kind of went crazy. And, you know, they had a couple upsets. They played really well, but he didn't do anything too surprising to me. But I definitely think that with some more time, he's going to move up in the rankings. Okay, Squishy Muffins. Now, I do think Squishy played incredibly well. I'm kind of debating if I want to put the teams that won from EU and NA in GOATs, because that's what I want to do in my heart, like all of Vitality and all of NRG. But I don't think that's just that there'd be too many players in there. So I'm going to put Squishy in Game Changers. Squishy definitely stepped up. Squishy played super well in our match and against SSG. He was doing like, he doesn't get to do as much flashy stuff as he used to on Cloud9, but he played his role incredibly well. His defense was crazy. He was just all over the field, and he was just really, really solid all over the weekend. and that he's a huge reason why they won. So I'm gonna put him in game changers. Arsenal, I'm gonna put Arsenal in elite because I definitely think Arsenal played really well against Envy, but in the finals, I believe he was just not as good and not as prevalent as he usually is, because Arsenal has such a big role and he's so important for his team that when they lose, you can usually tell that maybe he wasn't comfortable, he wasn't doing stuff he normally does. And because he kind of like popped off so hard in one series, or played well I should say, and then kind of maybe underperformed in the grand finals, that's why I have him in elite and not game changers. Fairy Peak, I'm gonna do the same thing with Fairy Peak. I think he was really solid. I think he was a great reason why Vitality won. He was back. He could be in GOATs, honestly, but again, he's kind of in the same boat as Squishy Muffins for me. Like, he popped off, and that's why Vitality was able to win. But, you know, I just don't want to put too many people in GOATs. Monkey Moon, I'm going to put Monkey Moon in the GOATs just because he is still a top player in the world. BDS was doing crazy until that grand finals, but I do think just because of Monkey Moon's prowess before that tournament throughout the whole season, I'm still going to have to put him in GOATs. Now, AJ played us, his team FaZe, and I think they just weren't mentally basically mentally ready for the games, and I think they kind of just came out really slow and sluggish. I do think AJ was probably playing the best out of his team, maybe Gyro, but again, it wasn't anything remarkable or like memorable for me, so that's why I can't put him in elite or anything higher. But AJ's potential, you know, is so high. Garrett's a GOAT. In our series, the man was doing everything: defense, bumping, flip reset, shooting. In the grand finals, he was incredibly solid as well, even though I think Justin did play better. But Garrett was probably the MVP, I guess I would say, for energy, him or Justin. But absolutely unreal season, caught the dub, you know. But first killer, you know, the rogue man himself. I do think I want to put him in GOAT, but they did lose and to us and Space Station, and it was not the greatest showing from them. And even though he played so well individually at times and literally put Rogue on his back, I don't want to put him in GOATs because GOATs I'm trying to reserve for like the winners / players that kind of just went crazy. So because of that, I don't want him in GOAT. But if there was just an individual like talent pool and not with the team / results, he would be in GOAT for me. Sorry about that. Astral, again, I think he only played one series against Queso, and he played well, but I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch too much of it, and I don't remember hearing anything about Astral straight carrying the team. He probably definitely had his moments, but I think if Astral wanted to win that series, he would have to be elite or above, and because of that, he didn't. Turbo, I'm honestly gonna put... I love Turbo, and this is a LAN. Turbo probably wins it. That's a sad thing, but like Turbo is so just important for every roster he's on that I think he even wasn't playing that bad, but he wasn't playing, you know, Turbo like where he's just intercepting every pass, bumping, being annoying, just being everywhere in the field. And because of that, I just think that was a huge reason why Envy didn't play so well, as they just didn't have any cohesion. None of the players were really popping off, and they didn't really have any, like, they didn't look together. And it was really weird to see Envy do that, because Envy's a team that usually plays really well together. So yeah, because of that, Turbo's below average, and it was really disappointing because I am an Envy fan. I love all three of those players. Now, Sipical, I'm going to put Sipical in game changers again. Sipical in that Envy series was absolutely popping, and then he had a couple moments in the NRG series, but besides that, I can't really put him in GOATs because he won, but he did play incredibly well in that Envy series and just honestly popped off, but I can't put him in the GOAT status. Up next is Reddles. I'm going to put Reddles in solid because I do think that he played well in the Envy series. All of SSG did, but his grand finals, him and Arsenal, I don't think really played to what they're capable of, and because of it, I'm going to have to put him in solid. Actually, I'm going to put him elite with his teammate because I think they both had the same kind of really good performance against Envy. Then when it came down to in the grand finals, they didn't do too hot. But Justin, I'm going to have to put him in GOATs. Like I said, against us, in the semifinal, he was playing pretty solid, but he was nowhere near as good as against SSG. I think he was a huge reason why they were able to kind of beat SSG in the way that the fashion that they did. His offense, his defense, it was just all very, very solid. Nolly, now Guild was a team that had a lot of hype going into it, and all three of them I think disappointed, just because everyone expected better results, and they all three played pretty poorly individually. So because of that, I'm honestly gonna put all three of them in below average right now. Nolly definitely had his moments, but I think as a team, everyone had such high expectations for them to even get like a possible second place or really good finish, that if they bombed out the way they did, that I think all three of them probably played below average, and they would say the same in their eyes. JNaps, I am going to grade my teammates this time. I'm going to put JNaps in game changers. He was definitely the best player for G2 this entire tournament. He had crazy solo plays, his shooting, everything. He was just popping off. I would love to put him in GOATs, but again, I have to reserve that for winners, in my opinion. So because of that, JNaps was doing everything. He was crazy, solid the entire weekend from start to finish. And yeah. So up next is BD Extra. I almost said BDS. But I'm going to put Extra in Elite. Again, absolutely GOATs player this season. Crazy. Really underrated. Probably doesn't get the love that maybe Mark or Monkey Moon get. But just because they didn't win, I would love to put them in Game Changers or Elite. Even though the season he had. But I'm just going to put him in Elite because I do think that Extra wasn't the same Extra that we saw all season. Up next is Alpha 54. I'm going to put Alpha 54 in GOATs because Vitality just popped off. And I definitely think him and K-Dop were a huge reason why. I saw some of those crazy shots he hit off the roof. And, you know, it seemed like Alpha 54 is back to when he was like one of those in contention best players in the world. Up next is Gyro. I'm going to put Gyro in solid just because he did play the best, I think, as FaZe in the tournament. But again, they were kind of lackluster as a team, so I can't really put anything above that. Mark by 8. I'm going to put Mark by 8 in Game Changers because I do think Mark is, again, really solid. Him and Extra could probably be in the same category, honestly, but I kind of don't want to put too many people in that Game Changers role. But Mark, again, incredible season. Played super well. His role is incredibly tough, and he plays it to the T, so it's really impressive. And, you know, well done. But, yeah. Archie, I'm going to put Archie in Elite just because they did not have high expectations. So they're kind of the opposite guild. They're supposed to play really poorly, and they actually did pretty well. And Archie is usually the main reason because of it, because he's a cracked individual. But because of just, you know, the competition level in EU and what I saw, I don't think it was anything too remarkable or special in my eyes. I could just be completely wrong, and this is my opinion. Again, you have yours, but I'm going to put him in Elite because of it. Taroko, I'm going to put below average. I literally think Taroko is one of the most underrated players on the planet, and especially when Rogue was winning, he was so key to that. But because I think he didn't have the greatest tournament, Rogue bombed out, I think a big reason was just because of his performance not being to where he was. Now, there could be other factors in it, and I'm not on Rogue, so obviously I don't know. But because of that, I'm going to put him and Turnturo in that category. Illusion, I'm going to put Illusion again, probably with on the below average. Alu is such a big role in FaZe that goes unnoticed with like bumping, boost steals, passing, doing the dirty work basically that you guys don't know, the stats don't show. And again, usually when you have a player like that and you see a team kind of not perform to what you know they can perform to, it's usually due to either players not popping off, no cohesion within the team, or maybe some of these players just aren't really getting the chance to do what they do best, which is like bump and stuff. And I definitely think Alu had moments, but it was just all in all, FaZe performed pretty poorly. Now, Atomic was playing crazy. I saw a lot of Queso's games, and this dude's defense, his scoring, his finishing, his playmaking ability, it was on another level. He was clearly their best player, and he's definitely going to be a player to watch out for next season, and could be even in the top players in the world contention. VK Salem, I'm going to put, again, with his teammate Dementia, solid. He's really good. He would finish really well. He would come up clutch in game 5s, I was noticing. But he really double commits so much with his team that it was kind of hard to watch. And just because of that, like, he has that clutch factor and the finishing factor, but the double commits are so crazy on that team, and I think a lot of them have to do with Salem and Dementia, that I just, like, I can't put them any higher because they can't win that way. They can't sustain that forever. Now, K-Dop, go. K-Dop's back, baby. When it matters most, the man just absolutely becomes the best in the world again and just destroys EU. You know, not much more to say. Farah, below average. Solary, pretty poor performance. And not much else to say. Now, I don't think I'm going to grade myself. No, I'm not going to grade myself. Now, I put V1 Torment because I love Torment, but he was actually in place of Drees because there's no Drees tag in here. But because of that, I'm going to put Drees in Game Changers. I think Drees, this was Drees' best tournament that he played by far. I think he was a huge reason that we played so well and got so far. And like literally everything from dribbling, finishing, defending, playmaking, everything like was crazy on his end. And he was the reason why we were able to make a run that we did and even have a crazy set versus energy. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for the video. I hope I didn't miss anyone, but I hope you guys like it and sub. I appreciate it. But if you guys want, I could also make an RLCS X teams tier list and revisit it after the season has ended and maybe go into the next season. That could be something for you guys to think about. Let me know down in the comments below. But that's gonna be it for me. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Sorry if the camera is flashbanged because yeah, I've got a white background on this tier list and it's probably flashing you guys with the camera. But anyways, make sure to leave a like, subscribe. I appreciate my Chicago bros. Anyways, have a good evening, morning, afternoon, dusk, dawn, wherever you're at, and be safe. Peace out.